You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast, where we talk sports, mostly football, and a lot about the Browns. Our episodes drop Friday mornings. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The more we hear from you guys, the better our podcast can be. All right, now let's get into it. All right, welcome back into the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. I'm your host, Justice, and I'm here today with my old man. We're talking Browns football like always. Big win this weekend. Huge win over Tennessee. So let's get right into it. What were some of your bigger takeaways from this weekend's game?
That the Cleveland Browns defense once again proved that it's legit. Myles Garrett's a man-child. Grant Delpit played a great game. Our DBs looked good. And once again, our defense stole the show, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you. I think that defense, I'm hearing a lot of Browns Nation talk about it, and everybody's saying this is the best defense in the league. I don't think that's being hyperbolic. I think it is. If it's not the best, it's one of the top three, I think. And honestly, I'd go as far to say if they continue to do this throughout the season, this could go down as one of the better defenses of all time. And that's no lie. Like, one of the stats they said on the game this weekend was when Elijah Moore fumbled close to our end zone, that was the first time the defense had played in the red zone.
Really?
Yeah, the only time they had given up a touchdown was Kenny Pickett, right? Throwing it to Pickens, and that was a long one. So that was the first time the defense had played in the red zone, and they held them to a field goal, the only points they had scored. So that defense is playing out of its mind. It's crazy the difference between this defense at this time last year and then the defense this year, how different it looks, and how bought in the team looks. That defense seems incredibly energized. It seems like they're having fun. And based off of everything Browns social media is posting and the videos of the players, it seems like they're just having a ball out there.
Yeah. It looks like it, too.
Yeah.
They make a good play. Everybody's jumping around. Everybody's excited. Did you see that play where Miles was in motion?
Yeah, and then they didn't even do the play because he just kept going back and forth.
The tight ends just kept following him everywhere he went. It's like, really?
There was a play.
And did you see Schwartz losing it on the sideline, laughing about that?
Oh, no, I didn't. That's awesome.
It was hilarious.
Well, I had seen one play in particular. I can't remember. Well, it was a handoff to Henry, and he ended up getting negative yards, which happened a lot. They quadruple teamed Miles. There was two tight ends on him. The left tackle did his normal drop, and then there was the left guard helping on that side. It was crazy. Like, he is right now playing almost unstoppable football, and the problem with that is like, if you're dedicating that much to just him, those other guys are way too good to be doing that. And that's
where are the sacks at, though?
Again, they got to get the ball out quick. And that's the thing, is that Tennessee was holding the ball a lot longer than Pittsburgh was. And that's why we ended up getting some sacks. Maurice Hurst got a sack.
Yeah.
Miles obviously had 3.5. I want to say there was another one in there somewhere.
I'm surprised.
We had 5.
I'm surprised that Darius doesn't have a crap load of sacks.
Well, they're getting the ball out really quick.
I understand that, but if you're quadrupling Myles Garrett,
he's getting plenty of pressures though. He's there all the time.
I know, but so is Clowney.
I know.
If I'm going to be critical, that's the only critique I have.
He's playing great in the run though. He's playing great all around.
I don't want to sound like I'm nitpicking, but...
Well, the defense is so good that you have to kind of nitpick,
But also,
that's not a bad thing.
Also, too, when you're basically... I think the third down conversion percentage, I think I heard today, was 28% or something like that.
That's crazy.
When you're getting off the field 3 and outs all the time, you don't have much opportunity.
Right.
So
yeah, the defense isn't being on the field long, which is awesome. That's the best way to play defense.
Oh, yeah.
Have your offense do long drives and do that. The one thing So, all right, we talked a little bit about the defense, and we can talk about it more because it was just awesome. But as far as the offense goes, what did you see there? Was there anything that stood out to you?
Well, Deshaun played average football, and what happened?
We ended up winning pretty big. Yeah.
There was a couple plays he looked like Deshaun Watson of old.
Right.
He made good throws. I think he only missed 6 throws. I think he was, I want to say 27 for 33 or something.
It was something like that, yeah.
And that's good. I mean, that's above average quarterback play what he did.
Yes.
But having watched the game, I didn't see anything outrageous. Like he made. Oh well, I take that back. I'm selling him short. He dropped a couple dimes that were just
He did.
good. I mean, but that's what I expect from him.
Right.
On a regular basis, not once every 3 games. He has a game like that. I don't think we'll see. I don't know what happened between last week and this week. Because, I mean, if anybody listened to last week's show, I was pretty down. Like, I didn't think we were going to win that game.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think I might have picked Cleveland to win, but I didn't have a good feeling about it. Like, yeah. I thought we were going to witness the game with Tennessee from a couple years ago where they ran over us like we weren't even there.
Right. No,
but Tennessee sucks, so.
Yeah, I think that we both were a little down. Hopefully that game just shows to be a one-off, you know.
Which one?
The Pittsburgh one. Being in Pittsburgh and everything, that's the hope at least. Hopefully it's not like that when we play them again.
You know, I look back, and basically every year since Stefanski's been our coach, game 2 we suck.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the year Tennessee smoked our ass in the opener, we won the second game. But we always have early one stupid game where we just suck. And I don't know why. The defense didn't suck, but our offense did.
Right. I don't know. That might be something to look into.
I got a couple questions for you about the offense.
Yeah.
Where in the hell is David Njoku? And if Marquise Goodwin is this unbelievable threat downfield, where is he at?
I don't know. That is one question I'm asking myself looking at these stats. You're right. He was 27 of 33. But there was, again, nitpicking because the offense was pretty proficient. They ended up with 27 points. But it feels like there's so much still out there for Deshaun to get. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a hopeful thing that he just hasn't connected yet with Marquise Goodwin. The David Njoku thing, I don't know. I don't understand.
Like, I expected Njoku to be like Travis Kelce.
Right. Well, I expected him to be of that ilk as well. Something at least similar. It's hard to beat
like
Travis
Dallas
Kelce.
Goddard.
Yeah, I could.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I could see.
Okay, maybe not Kelce, but good God. I mean, Njoku's more athletic than Travis Kelce is.
Yeah, I was expecting to see from him at least an 800-yard season and maybe 10 touchdowns. I thought he was going to be a major part of this offense because all training camp they were like, he's open no one can cover him. He's always open, and I'm wondering what's going on, what they're not doing to continue that. I think maybe it's that Deshaun is trying to establish some sort of rapport with Elijah Moore because he did target him quite a bit. Elijah Moore ended up with nine receptions.
How many yards?
Not very much. He had 49, so he's only
That's
averaging.
It?
Yeah, he's averaging. Well, at least in this game, he averaged 5.4 yards a catch, which obviously his targeting would be lower because he got missed on a couple of them. So that's not really that good. Normally, you want your targets to average around like at minimum 8 yards an attempt. So that's not the best. Amari Cooper averaged 16 and a half, which is really good.
Well, that one shot, the one long bomb helped him out.
Right.
Well, there was actually 2 bombs he hit him. One they called back.
And, okay, so if
I'm in the right game, right?
Yeah. If you want to talk about that play, I feel like I'm not as upset about That.
Oh, dude, I am. That was horrible.
Well, he pushed off too. He pushed off pretty bad.
No, they were hand checking down the field.
Yeah.
The guy grabbed his arm for crying out loud.
Right.
So.
Well, if you don't take into account that was a push off, then yes, I can definitely see why you'd be upset. But
I'm not losing sleep over it.
Right.
But had we lost.
Yeah. That was a massive play. And Coop is just playing really, really well. The one thing, so going back to David Njoku, I need to rewatch that game to see how open he was. I know in the Pittsburgh game he was open quite a bit.
He was open a lot.
Like these past 2 games before this, he was open a lot. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to him because when I was watching, I pay a lot of attention to the line to see how our running game would fare, which to me, our running game this week did what it needed to do. It moved the chains in situations, but it wasn't. I mean, you can see Nick Chubb's not there. It's definitely lacking, I think, still.
Yeah, there's a definite difference. I mean, even when Kareem played with us, when he was bought in the year before last, he just doesn't. None of these backs hit the hole like Chubb does. I saw Ford trying to do some Nick Chubb type stuff, like hesitating, and then try to go, but he's always like half a second slow. Or not half a second, but just half a tick slow.
Yeah, I hope that's something they work out.
But, I mean, it's his first game starting, too. He looked great receiving.
Yeah, no, and that was one thing.
Like, I can see why they let Kareem walk.
Well, I can see why they didn't keep Felton, because he reminds me a lot of him receiving-wise and even better. And
he's bigger.
Yeah.
He's definitely bigger.
So I can definitely see him being a weapon out of the backfield, but he averaged 1.8 yards an attempt, so that's got to get better.
Rushing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Pierre. Well, we didn't really run the ball that much.
He had some good. Unless I'm misremembering,
Pierre Strong had 27 yards on 6 attempts, averaged 4.5. He was our best rusher. Kareem only got 5 touches for 13 yards. So the running game wasn't what we're accustomed to the Browns having. You know, we're used to seeing 150 yards plus on the ground.
They better get that straightened out this week.
I think they will, and we'll get into that later. But, yeah, I think maybe it's just a matter of seeing where these running backs fit in the offense, see where they feel really good. I feel like Jerome Ford did some of his best rushes on the right side of the line behind DeJuan Jones and Wyatt Teller. And I don't know what's going on with Teller, too. Teller had a couple of plays that he was going against Simmons, who's a beast, but I don't know. He hasn't been as strong as he normally is.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't look. I mean, it's a line. You're not going to be perfect every play, but I think he's struggled the last couple games.
Yeah.
In Batonio, I saw a play where they did a stunt. Batonio Olayed it.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And, I mean, that, I don't know. Well, that's got to be on the line. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think, honestly, what I think it is that the O-line is struggling with Deshaun because, like I said in the prior podcast, Deshaun is used to setting protections when he was in Houston. And I think that is actually messing with him quite a bit. Bill Callahan likes the O-line to do that. And usually works out very well in our favor. But our quarterback seems to be a little bit uncomfortable with that because he doesn't know exactly where everyone's going to be. And so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of pressures and stuff, because he's kind of moving around the pocket into that pressure.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do there.
Well, I mean, that line, other than DeJuan Jones, has been together for a while.
Right.
And, Posick started all last year. And they didn't look, they don't look bad.
They don't look
But they don't look like they have.
They don't. And I don't really know what that is. If it's just Batonio getting older, I don't know what it is. But so far, I love that O-line. I love every single one of those guys. But they haven't looked
Even
like...
Jed Wills?
I do. Yeah. He's a Brown, man.
You kind of went in on him last
I did. Well, that's because I expect better of him. I know he's got it in him. You can see it. But I think that O-line isn't playing like the best O-line in the league, and I don't know if it's really playing as a top 5 O-line in the league right now. So that is one thing that, if we're nitpicking, they can definitely clean up. And I think they have a good chance to do that here this week and then the weeks following the San Francisco game, because I think we're going to struggle that game.
One thing I think, and I noticed this when I was watching the game, and I think whoever was calling the game on TV actually may have said this, but I noticed it before he even said it, was their DBs, like that one pass that Cooper caught, that long bomb. I don't know what the DBs were doing.
Yeah,
like, they were
eyes in the backfield,
flat-footed, and they were spying. I don't know what the hell. Like, I don't know. It was just something. To me, they looked like we looked against Pittsburgh. To me, like that didn't look like a Tennessee team that I've seen in the past.
No, that you're completely right.
And you can see it on Vrabel's face. Like he's like, "What the hell is going on?"
Right. I think they were a little bit shocked. And the other thing too is that reminded me a lot of last year, that long touchdown against the Jets and us. It looked like both of them had their eyes in the backfield, but it looked like they were playing like cover 3, and the corner had that outside zone and was passing it off to the safety, and the safety didn't realize till it was too late. That's the only thing I could possibly think it was, but it was a little bit bewildering. It didn't make any sense at all.
There was 3 plays I saw just like that. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a good Browns win. We had a lot of positives, and we we've been talking about the things that we can do better, but we definitely had a lot to be excited about. We just nitpick because we expect this team to go far,
Well, no, I listened back to our podcast from last week, and I was hard on Deshaun.
Yeah.
Very much so. But, I mean, I don't think he played great. Like, he played better than average, but if you look at the difference between the Steelers game and this game, everybody's like, oh, Deshaun's arrived. And he looked good, but, I mean, when I look at the game, Tennessee didn't look like Tennessee.
Right.
Like, I don't know what was going on there.
Part of it could be, too, that defense that we have. It's complementary football, so we had Tennessee's defense out there for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So it could be that. There could be a lot of different factors in that.
Yeah, and their offense did nothing.
Nothing. I can't remember. I was watching the Stefanski post game, and they were talking about the total offense for Tennessee, but it was staggeringly low. Like, I think they had 20 rushing yards, or maybe not even that. Like, it was really, really bad. So that hurts their defense a ton because you're on the field for so long. And that's huge for us. If we can continue to play that way, keep our defense off the field. I mean, like I was saying, that's the best defense.
Right.
So, yeah, and I'm just hopeful going forward that it just seems to me that Deshaun is still holding back some things. Like with Elijah Moore, and I feel like that might not be just him, but it might be Stefanski. Because, and maybe in that game we were so far ahead that we weren't trying to be explosive like KC, or like watching that Miami game. I know we'll talk about it later, but at no point was McDaniels holding anything back. It was like they were down by 20 the entire game and just throwing bombs.
I don't think that's. I don't see that at all.
But,
I think that is our offense.
Well, the slow, meticulous offense does work.
You got to look at Miami. We have one guy that's that fast, and he doesn't play for some reason.
Right.
They have 3 guys like that, and their running back is like that. Like our running back that was like that isn't there anymore.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to figure out life without Chubb, but they never really, in my opinion, ever used Chubb right to begin with. So it shouldn't be that big of a difference. I mean, I don't know. That game did not look. I don't even know how to say this without sounding negative. Like, I'm happy we won, thank God.
Right.
And I think Deshaun played better. But we're going to... And the bad thing is I don't think we're going to find anything out until after the bye.
Yeah.
Because the Ravens suck.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to find out what our team is until we play San Fran. But like I said when we started this podcast, is San Francisco, in my opinion, is a must-win. We have to win it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we want to be.
Yeah, that's the biggest measuring stick. And they are a very, very similar team to us, both in philosophy and personnel.
See, I disagree with you there, too. I don't think our personnel is anything like theirs, and I don't think our philosophy is anything like theirs.
They're a zone run scheme. That's the major thing.
Yeah, but they run the ball. We don't.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
They utilize everybody on the field. We don't. They have a defense like ours. To me, that's the only real similarity between us and San Francisco is the defense.
Well, that's a big similarity, though.
Yeah, but their offense against our defense is what I'm anxious to see. I think it's going to be a good game if Deshaun shows up.
I know we're jumping ahead, but I'm the most worried for that game. I think that's the biggest measuring stick we have on the schedule, and I'm worried. Our defense has looked incredible. I'm curious to see how we fare with McCaffrey, and if anybody can.
I'm not worried about our defense in that game.
I'm a little bit, and then I'm really worried about our O-line in that game.
That's what I'm not even really worried about our O-line.
More so worried about.
I'm worried about what are we trying to do on offense. Are we trying to hold the ball and go deep? Or are we going to do crossing routes, short, get the ball out of my hand type stuff? Because if we run the same type offense, and granted, Deshaun was being whatever he was against the Steelers, but if we run that type of offense again, he's going to look just like he did there. It's going to be bad.
Well, you know what's funny is, like, the prior weeks we were talking about Deshaun, how he's never taking the open guys. He's never doing the check downs. He's trying to push and press down the field. And then this week he doesn't do that. And I'm talking bad about him again,
No, I liked our offense this
Well,
week.
you did. I just feel like they left a lot on the table. And I think maybe I just had a different image of what Elijah Moore is than what he is. Like, I thought he was going to be a guy who would average.
Like Debo?
Yeah.
Debo.
I guess I thought of him as, at least a 14 yards per catch guy. But he seems to be more playing a traditional slot, move the sticks kind of.
Well, I honestly,
it's just weird.
I can't tell you what Elijah Moore is because I didn't see him with the Jets.
Yeah.
And what I've seen here, he's just a slot guy. He's Wes Welker.
Yeah, that's what he feels like.
And he was touted as being Tyreek Hill.
And I don't know how I feel about him running the ball either. Like, they are using him a lot in the run game.
I don't mind that. I mean, I was told in the off season that he's going to fulfill the Debo type role, Debo Samuel type role, and he's not Debo.
No, he's not.
He's not Ayuk.
No. Oh no.
I mean, he's not. He definitely ain't Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a poor man's Debo, a small Debo. I don't even know. I don't know what he is.
I wouldn't even compare him to any of those guys, really. Debo's just way too good after the catch. I mean, he's a freak. And then he's not Tyreek Hill. I don't know what you would say he is, but he's a good
possession receiver. He's open. I mean, he gets open.
Yeah. He does. He is a great route runner. And I think that I'd be curious to see him use more of his route running ability to push the ball downfield. But, we still have only seen so many plays of this offense. I think there's still more to come. And it'd be cool to see some of those wrinkles against the Ravens because, this is a big divisional opponent.
We're at home.
We're at home.
It's a must-win to me.
This is a must-win. If you win this, you're number one in the division. So.
Well, no, the Steelers are tied with you right now, and they beat you.
Oh, that's true.
And
that's true.
Pittsburgh, who do they play? Pittsburgh plays Houston, so they should win that game. But after what Houston did this last week, I don't know.
But that would make us 2-1 in the division, and what are they? They would be 1-, because they haven't played the Ravens or Cincy, right?
Right.
So they'd be 1-0 in the division. So I don't know how that shakes out, but yeah.
Well,
but no matter what, it's still a must-win.
Doesn't matter till the end of the season.
Right. But you still want all those wins on your record as much as possible.
Well, I get it, but you could be 8-3 with 3 losses in the division and still be leading the division because you're 8-3.
Right. Yeah, that's the tiebreaker. But still, I think that this is a must-win, and it definitely sets the tone for what the Ravens are going to experience going forward. But
well, in my opinion, the Ravens haven't played anybody, so I have no idea. I can't wait to see this offense or our defense against that offense.
Yeah, the Ravens have not really played
The Ravens
anybody.
played Houston week 1. They beat them 25-9. They played Cincinnati week 2 and won 27-24. Well, and then who the heck did they play this last week? They
played Indy.
Indy and got beat. I mean, I don't know what to think about them. But I cannot wait to see. I cannot wait to see this game. Because I think everybody out there is going to agree with me that Lamar sucks.
Well, I don't think that. I think people will just be like recognizing how great that defense is. So basically, just to wrap up the Tennessee game, there was a lot to be excited about. That defense is nuts. Miles is playing out of his mind. The entire defense is. I think Grant Delpit's playing like an all-pro right now.
Oh, he is.
One critique I have is I think Denzel needs to change up his celebrations a little bit because he does the windmill all the time.
He's playing guitar, man.
Oh, okay, there you go.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's
what he
right.
needs to do is wait till the whistle blows before he starts doing that. Because one time it cost us a touchdown against the Steelers. He could have picked the ball up and ran it in for a touchdown or made a block for somebody else to do so. But he's in the background windmilling, air guitar, and it's like, and then he's like, oh shit.
Well, hey, I mean, you gotta have swagger. I mean, they've told.
No, I get it. I get it.
He's doing his job.
Wait for the whistle blow.
Yeah.
Till the whistle blows.
Yeah, he's just too excited. And, as bad as that is something that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm happy to see that they're having that much fun. One last thing, and we'll wrap up this game. Did you hear about Kevin Stefanski driving a game ball over to Nick Chubb to his house personally?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. The team just seems so different. Like, I don't remember a Browns team feeling like this, really. Just completely bought in, having fun with each other. It seems like they're out on a mission, and they're taking care of the mission.
Well, the defense is.
Yeah, and I think the offense will feed off that and get their stuff figured out. And again, this week, the offense did what it needed to do to win. There were things that I felt like were left on the table, as I've said. But
well, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
There was a lot of plays that could have been made. Well, there was one play while I was waiting to do this, I'm watching through here. Deshaun rolls out to the right, and I'm sure it was classified as a sack, and he lost 4 yards running out of bounds when he could have just threw the ball away.
Yep.
It's simple little things like that that are going to cost you games.
Yeah,
and we ended up kicking a field goal that possession.
Well, and that's something that happens a lot throughout the league. I don't know why people don't have the awareness. You're outside of the pocket. You don't have to be targeting or receiving. Just throw it out of bounds, So those are those little mental things that you just need to get straightened out. And they don't seem like big things. Like, what was that, third, fourth, or second down? I think it was second down when he did that. And you lose 4 yards on second down and make a 3-2
I think it was second and 3, and he lost 3 or 4 yards.
I mean, that's big.
3rd and 7.
Right, that's huge.
And then I think we ended up converting it, but that's not the point. The point isn't that we converted it and ended up kicking a field goal. The point is, a play like that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to throw the ball away. Or the better question is, why the hell's he running out of the pocket like that? I mean, I don't know.
He was trying to pick up the first with his legs.
It was a bootleg. I get that. He's out there, and the guys, no one bid on the boot, and he's running. I get all that. But in the stat line, he got sacked.
Right.
Which ends up looking bad for the line, regardless that there was nobody out there even to block. So that's on him. But when the stats all are compiled, it's just like everything else. The team takes the shot. So, well, there was 5 sacks in that. Deshaun took 5 sacks in that game. Well, 2 of them were like that.
Right.
So it's like, just throw the freaking ball away. And there was a whole bunch of them the week before. Right.
Well.
So throw the freaking ball away.
Yeah.
Salvage 4 yards, and let's get a first down. You know what I mean? It's simple little. And I hate to always keep bringing it back to he's $230 million because that doesn't matter. But he was paid that because he's supposed to make good decisions, and he's supposed to be a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the one where he threw it behind him to Elijah Moore. No, there are little it's the little things, the mental miscues that separate you from being very good to elite, and he just needs to get those ironed out. That one that he was going down through it 8 yards behind himself to Elijah Moore,
God.
that is unacceptable.
I actually put that out of my mind.
Yeah, I won't talk too much about that, but that's something you just can't do. And then these little things. Once he gets all those straightened out and is just playing smooth, competently, I think he'll be.
Well, I'm glad you waited till now to say that because I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, but anyway, that's kind of our takes on the game that happened this week. Next up, we're going to be talking a little bit about this Ravens game. So we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes go live Friday mornings. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch more podcasting apps in the future. Thanks for listening to us. We highly, highly appreciate it. You can follow me on socials. It's Justice Garber, pretty much anywhere you look. And then you can follow and rate the podcast on the podcasting apps. All right, let's get back into the action. Welcome back into the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. We're getting ready to get into the Ravens game this week. We talked a little bit about it in the prior segment, but we're really going to do a little bit of a deep dive into this. So I guess we can start in recapping their game for this week. They played Indianapolis, ended up losing in overtime 22-19 on a walk-off field goal. So I didn't get to see much of this game. I was at work. It was on the TVs there. I did see some of it, especially the OT. But how about you?
I didn't see much of it either. I just caught highlights. But when I saw what the final was, I kind of laughed out loud because the Ravens suck. I don't know how else to say it. I don't think their team's going to be any good. They got a running back that plays quarterback. You take Lamar's legs away, that team sucks. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. I mean, you saw
okay, here's some stats for Lamar. He was 22 of 31, 71%. That's pretty good, right?
That's really good.
His longest pass was 24 yards.
Right.
He carried the ball 14 times for 101 yards. He had 2 touchdowns rushing, no touchdowns passing. He had a 7.2 yard average on his passing. Whereas, like, Deshaun, who we just sat here and basically said he can do way better.
Right.
So, I think I may have said Deshaun played slightly above average. Did I not say that?
You did.
Okay. Deshaun was 27 of 33 for 82%.
Yeah, that's not average.
289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. He was sacked 3 times, but he has a QBR this last game of 123.4. Our quarterback carried the ball 4 times for 16 yards. had an 8.8 yard per attempt average throwing the ball. He had 3 receivers with a 16 plus yard average, and those 3 receivers were Cooper, DPJ, and I think Ford. Cooper's long catch was 49 yards. DPJ's longest catch was 29 yards. That's what a quarterback's stats look like. The prior quarterback that I listed off, stats look more like a running back playing quarterback. I'm sorry. That's what it is. There's no other quarterback in the league, maybe other than Josh Allen, running for 100 yards because he can't throw.
Right.
I mean, when you break it all down, that's really what it is. He can't throw the ball. And I'm going to watch that game, and if I'm wrong about this, I'll come clean next week. I'm going to watch that game probably tomorrow because I'm sitting here saying Lamar sucks with a 71% completion rating, but his QBR was 88.4,
Right.
which I think is average.
It's well, it depends because the total you can have is 153.8, I believe.
Yeah, but
which is hard to hit, right? You almost have to play a perfect game to do that. Those are like Tua might have hit that once this year with all those touchdowns and everything, but the thing about Lamar is, and I get what you're saying. He's not a prolific passer, never has been. Sorry, the dogs are yelling in Lamar's favor. Apparently,
they're agreeing.
They're agreeing. Okay.
Yeah, that was Cooper.
Yeah. Apparently, Cooper's not a Lamar fan either.
No, he listens to Dad too much.
Yeah, I don't think there's a person in this household that's a huge Ravens fan, but yeah, I don't know. He's never been a prolific passer. He did one season get much better.
When?
I think that was his MVP season.
He was
based off of what he had done prior. He was playing a lot better that season, but since then he hasn't made any extra steps to become a very, very prolific passer. The thing is a lot of people talk about him being a great quarterback, but the thing is he is a good quarterback because of what he does with his legs, and that opens up a lot of other things. So when Dad says, I think he's trash, it's because he's talking about him as a passer and as a true quarterback rather than as the weapon that he is. Because as a weapon, Lamar is a great weapon.
Like I've said a million times, he's a great running back. Yeah. Nick Chubb is a weapon.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have him playing quarterback. Derrick Henry is a weapon. I wouldn't have him playing quarterback.
Right. But Derrick Henry can do pop passes pretty well.
And he throws about as well as Lamar.
Yeah. But I don't know. That game, like I said, I didn't get to see much. Looking at the stats, watching some highlights and stuff, it was definitely odd because I thought that Rashad Bateman would come into their offense being their number 2. I kind of saw their wide receiver depth chart as being Odell 1, Bateman 2, and then Zay Flowers being the new guy being 3. But it seems like that's almost been completely wrong. It seems like Zay Flowers is their number 1 guy. Odell is a 2, and Bateman seems like he's just not really there. I don't know what's happened with him because he's got a lot of physical traits that make him seem like a great receiver. So I don't know what's going on there. Did you see Mark Andrews' stats? Did he really do much this game?
I didn't even see his name, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Ravens, everyone's really high on.
Okay. Here's Lamar's MVP season. He played 15 games. He was 265 completions, 401 attempts at 66%. He threw for 3,000 yards. He averaged 7.8 yards per attempt throwing the ball. Yards per game, 208. He had 36 TDs throwing the ball. He had 6 picks. He got sacked 23 times, and his QBR was 113. That's his passing stats. Let me see if I can find his rushing stats. You look at those stats, that's not an MVP.
32 touchdowns is not bad.
in 19, I think, isn't that the year that the year after Mahomes threw for 50?
Yeah.
The year before Mahomes threw for
right,
50.
but you also have to keep.
And then Burrow threw for 50.
How many rushing touchdowns did he have?
I'm looking. It doesn't say that because it doesn't want me to prove my point here.
I'm just saying, as far as his MVP season, I think he deserves that.
I don't.
He had 1,000. He was nuts.
Well, hang on a minute.
But
I should have looked this up beforehand.
While you're doing that, I'll just say this. I think that it doesn't really matter, at least for this week, because I think that Lamar is in for a world. I think the Ravens are going to get smacked. They have, I just looked it up, the NFL.com has their power rankings out now. They had the Browns at 9, and they had the Ravens at 8. So they have us ahead of them. Or, sorry, they have them ahead of us in the power rankings. I don't know why that is the case. I think that obviously our Pittsburgh loss looked pretty bad offensively, and losing Nick Chubb definitely hurt probably our power ranking standing. But I think that the loss that they just had to the Colts is just as bad, if not worse, than our loss to the Steelers.
Oh, definitely.
We also definitely beat Cincy by much more. Which we each have played them, so that shows that a little bit we're ahead of them in that matchup. And then who'd they beat? The Texans?
Yeah.
And if you want to say they're on par with who we just placed, Tennessee, then I just don't know why they would be ahead of us, but I think that's going to change this week. I think that it is going to be a rough day for the Ravens. Offensively, I am curious to see how our offense fares against their defense. I don't think that their defense is really all that. They do have some good pieces. I mean, Roquan Smith's a beast. Patrick Queen's playing really well. I don't know if Marlon Humphrey's healthy yet, but they have pieces there. I just don't think that their defense is a unified group like ours is, and talent across the board like ours is. They have some good pass rushers, but I don't know.
I had the Browns before the season started winning 30-20. I'm gonna say we're gonna win 35-12.
Okay, are we gonna do our predictions then, quick?
No,
you want to wait? Okay.
I think Lamar's gonna get hurt in this game.
I could see that
because he might kill us, but he ain't gonna be throwing the ball doing it.
No, well, he's not gonna be running the ball either. I mean, look at the one thing in that Tennessee game that just is stuck in my mind is it looked like when you were trying to get through the line running the ball, it looked like you were trying to go through barbed wire. Like our line was getting so much pressure, and it was allowing JOK to freely go in. DPJ, Chosen One, not DPJ, Delpit, Chosen One, all those guys were coming in making tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and there's nowhere that anybody could go rushing the ball. It's the complete opposite of last year. Our defense, as far as the run goes, is I've never seen a defense like that.
So if what you're saying holds true, then we might blank them.
I honestly think
because I don't think he can throw against our defense.
I think that do you think Tannehill's a better quarterback passer than
Ryan Tannehill had no time.
Well, they're not going to have any time either. But
Ryan Tannehill ain't Lamar with his feet.
I don't think that matters, really.
I think Tannehill's a much better passer of the football.
But
Tannehill couldn't even get out of the pocket to throw. Lamar's going to get out of the pocket.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit on this. For a running back, he is a Houdini. He can go backwards and sideways as fast as he can go forwards.
Yeah.
So, but we have the equalizer with JOK.
And Chosen One. He seems like he's a lot like that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't even... I cannot wait to watch our defense annihilate them.
Yeah, I'm excited for that game. The thing is the only thing that could potentially scare me with Lamar is not design quarterback runs, because I don't think that's going to do anything. I think the only thing is the defense plays out. There's I don't think he's going to have the time to do this, but say he has 3 seconds in the pocket and can scramble and we're out of place. I think that's the only time he's picking up yards, because if it's designed or if it's within 2 seconds, he's going nowhere.
If Lamar Jackson has 75 yards rushing in this game, I'll kiss your ass.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Because there ain't no way.
And honestly, I think he could have 75 yards and they still get blanked, to be honest.
There ain't no way. I think he's going to get hurt, number one. Number two, if you watch the way our defense pressures, there's no gaps. He's not escaping up the middle. And it's Lamar. So we're going to really pay attention to that.
Right.
Like, you're not going to do that with Tannehill. We don't give a damn. If Moses opens the Red Sea, we don't care.
Right.
Tannehill ain't going to hurt you with his legs. I mean, he can. Tannehill's athletic.
Yeah, he can run the ball.
He can run the ball, but he ain't Lamar.
Right.
I mean, the closest thing we played to Lamar, we haven't yet.
No. I mean, there's only a couple people in the league that you could put on that. You know, Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields maybe, as far as escapability and rushing.
And the other thing is, Cleveland's defense plays Lamar well.
That was what I was going to say. They always play him well. It's because of our personnel. We when constructing this personnel early, before Schwartz got here, it was to stop them because they were, at that point, better than the Bengals. We were creating that defense to
stop the Ravens.
Yeah. So I have no, like, as far as if you go down our defense versus their offense, there is not a matchup I don't think that we have the edge in. Like, if you think about it, and Newsom comes back this week, I would put Ward on Zay Flowers because he seems to be their number one, and he's a really good route runner. And Denzel plays good route runner as well. I would put Emerson on OBJ because he's a big body, and I would put Newsom on Bateman, and I think you shut all those guys down. And then I would put Delpit on Mark Andrews.
I don't think Mark Andrews played last week.
He may not have.
Because Likely played.
Well, they use a lot of 12 personnel.
Well, yeah, but dude, I'm pretty sure I did not see a stat line for Mark Andrews.
He may not have. He might have gotten injured in the game, too. We really need to watch that game. We might have to do that after this.
Well, I actually think he didn't. I think he got hurt the game before, if I remember right.
Well, I know he was out in the opener, I believe, because I have him on my fantasy team, so I can look.
So, yeah, he played. He was 4 or 5 targets. He caught 4 or 5 targets. His longest catch was 20 yards.
Okay.
He averaged 8 yards a catch, so he did play.
I think Mark Andrews, I'm not sure, but I think of anybody on the Ravens who plays us well, I think Mark Andrews does.
Yeah, but dude, I don't think he's going to even... I don't think he's going to matter.
And the Ravens, when I have watched them this season, their O-line doesn't seem as stout as it has been. I think it's going to be rough for them. I'm excited for that. I think the more interesting matchup, because honestly, I believe our defense is going to shut them down. I think the more interesting matchup is how our offense fares against them.
Who do they have on defense?
Well, they've got Roquan Smith. They've got Marlon Humphrey. They've got Patrick Queen. Those are their big stars right now. They've got some...
You did not list the defensive linemen at all.
They do have some... I can never remember their names, but they have...
I can honestly say I don't know who any of their D-line is unless they have some holdovers from years past because, quite frankly, I don't care about the Ravens.
Yeah. Okay. So, as far as their D-line goes, they've got Adafe Owe, who he's all right.
Not bad.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Broderick Washington, Michael Pierce, Justin, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this right, Matabuke, and then their second string guys I've never heard of. They got David Ajobo. He's going to be probably he usually. Oh, they have Jadeveon Clowney as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Titus Bowser. But he looks like he's injured right now. Their secondary is not bad. They got a new guy in Brandon Stevens as their corner. I don't remember him. He must have taken the place of Marcus Peters. And then their safeties are pretty solid. They got Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton. And both those guys are pretty solid. But
Well, I guess the best way for me to say it is like this. If Deshaun plays as good as he did last week, which in my opinion was slightly above average, we're going to smoke him.
as far when you were adding up those stats, if you just looked at the stats, that is not average. That is, or not even just above average. That is incredible. That is a great, great game. But we watched the game, and I think we just noticed.
I've said it a million times. I don't go by stats. I go by. That's why Pro Football Focus sucks for me.
And analytics is hard to go by.
Because I watched the game, and I didn't think he looked. I think he looked average.
Yeah.
For what I can remember of what the way he supposedly looked, I would say that's an average game. I mean, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, what did
Jacoby.
No, Jacoby maybe averaged 250, 260.
Yeah, but I'm saying I could easily see that stat line from Jacoby last year when we
easily,
said that.
yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. He would be up there with completions because he wasn't chucking it all over the place. He was doing what was asked of him.
I do have a question for you. If you saw what stat line to you would read Deshaun had an amazing game? Because I don't know if I really know one. Is it he's got to have a 75 completion percentage for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns? Is that a great game? I think it definitely.
No, what the stat line doesn't matter to me.
Right.
If I watch the game, you want to know what a great game is from Deshaun? The 27 of 33 for 82%, love it. If that was 27 of 33 for 205 yards, 4 touchdowns, and we won 35 to whatever they scored, doesn't matter because he's a quarterback.
Right.
But we win the game. This is a great game because we won.
Right.
But I've seen stat lines where it's 35 for 39, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks, and you lose by 20.
Right.
Just look at any Phillip Rivers stat line.
Right.
If you look at the stats, he's great. But if you actually watch the games, you're like, he killed him.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw from him against the Steelers.
Yeah. 100%.
He killed us. That's a great game because we won.
Right.
But watching the game with my eyes, I see the defense, Tennessee's defense, not playing like Tennessee's defense.
Right. There was miscues.
So it's
everywhere.
like, what is going on here? And I'm looking at it from the lens of, okay, if we're playing the Eagles defense or the Niners defense, they're not making those mistakes.
Right.
When he trips over his running back's feet and is laying on the ground. Last week against the Steelers, that's a sack.
Right.
This week, for some reason, there's nobody there. Like, what the hell? So, did he play a great game? No. He threw the ball backwards 10 yards
Right.
to a guy who wasn't expecting the ball to come to him. He stumbled over his running back's feet coming out of the gate on the first play.
You know,
I saw that play, and I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. And he completed the pass. I'm like, okay. Well, if you watch that play, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
But on the stat line, it was a completed pass.
Right.
So I go by my eyes. Stat lines don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah, there's too many holes in it. And the thing is that the oh shit moments with Deshaun are some of the things that seem like people give him great credit for. Like, it's a roller coaster ride. Like, people are like, he's a Houdini in the pocket. He makes all these amazing plays outside the pocket and all that stuff. That's great, but I don't really need that to have a good quarterback. You know, like, it's cool that he can make those plays, but I don't want to be like, scared to death.
I think it was okay. So the first play of the game, he comes out, he trips over his running back's feet, falls down, completes the pass.
Right.
The next play, I think they ran the ball. The play right after that, he's got a free rusher coming at him. most Baker would have been sacked.
Right.
Jacoby would have just stood there.
I know Baker does make some.
Well, I know, but Baker would have took the sack. Jacoby would have probably chucked the guy into the 5th row. But Deshaun does this little wiggle jiggle and gets out of it and completes a pass. I mean, or runs the ball. I can't remember what happened, but I was impressed that he got away.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a Houdini play. That is a, oh shit, damn, that was good.
Right.
But like him falling down, tripping over his running back's feet, and then completing a pass, to me, okay, it is what it is. We got lucky on that one.
Right.
That's not an oh shit good way for me.
Right. I guess I'm thinking about like the times where he's holding on to the ball for 6 seconds, running around everywhere. The O-line can't block for that long. And then
what made Patrick Mahomes so great?
No, I don't like that with Patrick Mahomes either.
Well, that's what makes him great.
I think that I like, and yes, that's cool. You have that mobility, but for me, I think it's much more fit. You're gonna have those big splash plays, but there's so many other plays like that. Like, I think Patrick Mahomes has taken a 27-yard like sack before. Like, there are plays like that completely screw you too if it doesn't work out in your favor.
Well, yeah.
So for me, if I hold the ball for 5 seconds and no one's open and I'm Aaron Rodgers, if I can't scramble for it, I'm throwing it away. And that's what he does.
Well, he didn't used to.
He didn't used to, but
he is 40 years old now.
Right. See, like for me, I am always trying to, once the play is not there, I'm trying to mitigate risk. And it feels like...
Well, see, the difference between you and Deshaun is Deshaun, the play's never dead.
Yeah.
It's not dead until he's on the ground. That's
right.
Good and bad. And
that's what I was trying to say.
That's the difference is he's not Tom Brady. He's never going to be.
Right.
Tom Brady didn't do that.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't do that now, but he used to.
Right.
I've seen Aaron Rodgers take a 15-yard sack.
Yeah.
Scramble around and make a play. Josh Allen does the same thing. All the great quarterbacks now are fantasy guys.
Yeah.
If you actually break it down, Patrick Mahomes is phenomenal.
Yeah, he is.
And he's going to nine times out of 10. If I told you 90% of the time, him scrambling around looking like a clown coming out of a clown car, 90% of the time, that's going to be positive. Would you take that?
Obviously, yes. But I think even more so if it's positive or neutral, I would take it. But what I'm more so concerned about is it's more of a 50-50 split or even like positive or neutral, 50%, negative 50%. If that's me, then it's not worth it. Because, maybe 25% of that is neutral, nothing happens. But that entire time he could, get smashed on the sideline, and there's just so many different things.
It happened. He scrambled around and got upended and slammed down.
Yes, you're right.
But 3 times that I can remember, I think if I went back and watched, it was more like 5 or 6. But 3 times that I know, he was dead to rights in the pocket. Like it should have been a sack, and he Houdini'd his way out of it.
Right.
The only thing, if he's doing that and gets sacked for a 10-yard loss, trying to make a play downfield, if it happens 50% of the time, okay, I'll punt the ball and let my defense kick ass.
Right.
If 50% of the time it results in a 20-yard completion downfield, I'm willing to risk it. But I wouldn't be willing to risk that with, Baker.
Yeah.
Or Tannehill, or pretty much a lot of other quarterbacks.
Right.
Very few guys. Like Lamar, he does that all the time, and he's a great quarterback because of that.
Yeah, but if you watch, say, Joe Burrow, he does that sometimes, but that's not his go-to. That's more of a... I guess I'm more traditional in what I want from a quarterback, but... I agree.
You're talking to the master of traditional quarterbacks.
I know. No, I agree with you completely. It worries me so much because I just remember seeing Tua outside the pocket trying to do those things and get body slammed and be out for a season. There's so many variables once you let that internal clock get past 3 or 4 seconds, that can turn out real bad.
No, I agree with you completely on that. But the point that you were trying to make with the whole percentages and stuff is, I'll take, as long as it's not negative, if it's 50-50, I'll take it. When it becomes 40-60 or 35, like him chucking the ball backwards to Elijah Moore, like, you can't be doing that. Like, come on now.
Yeah, there's no excuses for that. And I think he obviously knows that. I don't know what he was trying to do there.
But back to Baltimore. I think I'm going to make a statement. By the middle of the second quarter, Lamar's going to be out of the game. He's going to try that fancy-dancy stuff, and he's going to meet Mr. Smith and Myles Garrett at about the same time, and he's going to be out.
Yeah, I obviously never would wish that on a player, and I know you're not, but I can see that too.
Well, I'm not, because I'm more scared of his backup than I am of him throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not worried too much about their receivers. They only got one. Well, they got Zay Flowers, who I've talked to you before. If he starts doing what he does in some of the first 2 games I watched, he exposes his body. The way he tries to cut and stuff, he's gonna be beside Chubb.
Yeah, he looks like a soft tissue injury waiting to happen.
He's gonna be hurt, and that could happen this game.
Yeah.
I can see this game. Like, when we played the Steelers, there were people getting injured.
Right.
And it's because it was hard-hitting, fierce. I don't see the Ravens competing in that game like that. I see the Ravens getting hurt.
Yeah, they definitely seem much more of a finesse team this year.
Soft.
Yeah. So we'll see. I am curious how that'll all work out.
Like, yeah, I don't want Lamar to get hurt.
No.
But it's a very good possibility this week.
Yeah, it's the same thing that we were saying. I can't remember who we were talking about. We were talking about Bryce Young, actually. How you're worried that he's small and can get those hits.
If Lamar's, he played us, I think he'd get killed.
And Lamar's kind of the same way. He is lucky enough that he is so elusive that he doesn't take a lot of big shots. But I just think he's going to have no place to go, and those big shots are going to come.
Well, like I said earlier, when we bring pressure, there is no gaps.
No.
He's not going up the middle. He's not squirting out the outside. It's not going to happen.
Derrick Henry is 3 times the size of Lamar, and he couldn't get past the line of scrimmage. And if you watch...
but when we've played Tennessee before, we didn't have the defense we have now, and we shut Derrick Henry down. It's not hard to shut Derrick Henry.
No, I completely agree.
If you focus on it.
I completely agree. But the thing is I was just saying that to say that he was shut down by this offense, and he, to me, is a much scarier... Honestly, he's a much scarier runner than Lamar is to me. Based off of our defensive personnel. I was more so worried about the physicality going into that Tennessee game. If I was worried about anything, it would have been that could we be physical enough and tackle well enough to hold him at bay. With Lamar, I'm not really worried about his elusiveness because we're fast as heck. So I think we mitigate some of that.
See, Lamar doesn't worry me throwing the ball. Lamar worries me running the ball.
He doesn't, to be honest. I always...
Because in the open field, he's the hardest tackle there is in the league right now.
Other than Tyreek Hill, maybe.
No. You get your hand on Tyreek Hill, he's coming down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, you can't catch Tyreek Hill. There's a difference between hard to tackle and hard to get a hand on.
Right.
You can have 2 hands on Lamar and he ain't there.
Right.
Like...
No, that's fair.
He's a magician, and I'll give him that. He is a magician.
He is, and he always has been.
Yeah, but I just don't see it this week.
I don't either. I always tend to, when we're talking, I always kind of pose the other side and try to talk up Lamar, but I think nothing about his game worries me this week with how that defense is playing. I'm not worried about him passing the ball because I think our corners shut down their receivers, and as we both know, when Lamar is having to make, fit things into the tightest of windows, that's not his game. So
no, depends on who you ask. You ask anybody with eyes that can watch football and see that he just can't throw the ball, they'll tell you, oh, he's great.
Oh.
He's a great passer of the football. I've never seen it. Yeah, he can make a pass here and there. I mean, hell, if I got time, I'm sure I can drop a couple dimes here and there, and I got a screwed up shoulder. Can't hardly throw 20 yards.
Yeah.
But, I mean, his longest pass was 24 yards. I mean, come on. And I'm sure if I went back, if you actually looked at the passes, that 24 yards was probably a 5-yard slant that somebody turned into a long run.
Was that to save Flowers?
I don't know.
Okay, because I was going to say that's very likely.
I don't know. I didn't write that down.
Anyway, do you want to do our prediction for this game or wait till we're going through all the games later?
We can do it now.
All right. So do you want to go first or I?
No, you. I like listening to you so I can contradict you.
Okay. Well, I think that we're going to win this game 31-6.
31-6.
Yes. I hate saying that because I'm obviously a Browns fan. It's going to make me sound like a homer. And honestly, it always scares me to pick the Browns. But I just don't see their offense doing anything. I can actually see our defense getting some defensive scores.
I do too.
And so I think the offense does what it needs to do like it did last week. I think, honestly, our offensive game is going to be very, very similar to what it was this past week. I think it's just going to be fluid, and they're not going to make crazy spectacular plays in bunches, but they're going to do what they need to do to win and put points on the board.
I hope we run the ball a little more than we did in the last game.
Me too. They've got to establish that. I mean, even though we lost Chubb, you got to – that's a big point of our team. That's
according to
the identity.
Everybody who makes rosters in the league, you don't need a good running back, so –
yeah, then there's no excuses.
Although, I'll tell you, I don't know. Ford, I didn't think played that bad.
I think Ford has it. He just has to do it. Because he was nuts in Cincinnati when he played in college. He's shown flashes. Obviously, he had that 69-yard touchdown run, which was not really based off of our line doing anything. He just...
No, that was all him.
Yeah. So I think he has it. I think it's just he's young and he's got to figure it out, you know?
All right, so I'm going to give it I'm going to say 35-3. No, because I can see Justin Tucker kicking a 70-yarder. No, not in Cleveland Brown Stadium.
That's why I had 6.
37. I'll go 37-9.
That's fair. I do think that I think Justin Tucker could kick several field goals. Because if they do move the ball, they'll just move the ball into his range, and they might rack up points that way. But I don't see them doing much more than that. We might have a defensive breakdown somewhere. They might have a long one. But I think at most they max out at 17 points. That's the most, I think.
Well, I preface all that saying if I have the Deshaun Watson I had this last week.
Yeah.
If I have the Deshaun Watson from Pittsburgh, it's God knows.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, that was a little insight for you guys on what our thoughts are going into this Sunday.
Baltimore sucks.
Next up, we're going to kind of recap some of the games that happened this week. And then after that, we'll let you guys know what we're expecting this week. So we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes go live Friday mornings. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch more podcasting apps in the future. Thanks for listening to us. We highly, highly appreciate it. You can follow me on socials. It's Justice Garber, pretty much anywhere you look. And then you can follow and rate the podcast on the podcasting apps. All right, let's get back into the action. Welcome back into the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Again, I'm your host, Justice. We're chilling here. We're going to go through these games this week, starting with the Thursday night game. Give you guys kind of our one thought on the game. We'll may expand on that a little bit, but what's our first game?
The Niners hosted the New York Giants. Niners won 30-12, and it didn't even seem that close.
Yeah. So that game, I feel like we can go through pretty quick. 49ers continue to just dominate. Their defense is very, like we said earlier, a little bit similar to ours in terms of the domination factor. Their box is crazy with those linebackers and defensive line. they didn't have Saquon in this game.
Nope.
But really, it just seemed like their offense never got anything going. And CMC continues to impress. Debo had some amazing catches. And I'll say, Debo's one of my favorite players. So seeing him break tackles in open space is just always fun. But my thought is that game kind of went the way I thought it would.
Yep, that's pretty much mine too. I think I had it like 1,000,000-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't even a good game. I feel bad. My one thought on this game is, why do Thursday night games suck so bad? I feel so bad for Al Michaels.
Yeah.
He's on the call of these shit games.
And why is Amazon's the one that does Thursday night now? Why are they getting these games? You would think with a massive business like that, they would.
If you look at it, though, coming into this season, the Niners, who were playing in the NFC Championship game, were playing the Giants, who made the playoffs last year and looked really good.
Yeah.
So, like, at the beginning of the season, before anything happened, this didn't look like a crap game.
Can you flex into Thursday night, do you know?
Not the first. I think the flex games can't start until after week 4.
But even then, I don't know if you could flex because that's changing, 3 days at least difference?
No, they could flex them. I don't know why you couldn't. Like, you couldn't flex a Monday night team into it.
Right.
You could flex. I mean, what's the difference? Like, the Jets or the Giants played Sunday, and they have to play Thursday. So what would the difference be, say, you flexed us into Thursday night?
Right.
I mean, as long as you know about it. So, like, if you know
like weeks prior.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
If you know going into last week, like Saturday, they're like, hey, we're going to flex you guys to Thursday. When you guys play the Ravens, you're going to be on Thursday night instead of Sunday at 1. What's the difference between that? I mean, you just didn't know about it prior.
Right.
Like, I don't see a big deal with that.
Yeah. All right. And then
the next game was Cleveland, Tennessee, but we've already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll skip and go to Minnesota hosting the Chargers. Chargers won 28-24.
Yeah, that game was a really good one. I got to see a little bit of that one. I think Keenan Allen had a really, really big game.
Mm-hmm.
Both offenses seem to be pretty good. Justin Jefferson, you can basically chalk it up. He's going to have 100-plus yards every single game. The big takeaway for me is I'm hearing some talks about Kirk Cousins getting traded and that entire team getting blown up. For me, if I was Kirk Cousins, that's kind of a bittersweet thing because I'd hate to lose the ability to throw to Justin Jefferson, who catches everything. And Jordan Addison, he's a young star. I think he's going to be really good. I hate to see that, but he's getting killed back there. That line wasn't great to begin with, but has been decimated by injury, and he's just getting smashed and still making great plays. So, I don't know. For me,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I guess my one thing that I'll finish with saying is that I don't hate the Vikings. They're not my favorite team, but they're fun to watch, and they have great weapons. And everything else, their O-line and their defense is pretty rough. So I'm curious to see what they do in that organization.
My one thought is, what the hell are they thinking? They got rid of they let their D-tackle go. They let Smith go. What is his first name?
Who? Is it Darius?
Zadarius. I always want to call him Demarius.
Yeah.
Zadarius. They let him go. They traded him to us for a bag of balls.
Right.
And I don't understand what they're trying to do there. Like, they were in the playoffs last year.
They were in cap hell, is what it was.
Okay. So they're just going to... I mean, they're what, 0-3 now?
Yeah.
So they're 0-3 now. So what are you going to do?
There's nothing... What I would do...
I mean, you could still technically, I guess, win the division and make the playoffs.
Right.
But you're not doing anything with the defense they have. That defense sucks. That offense is way too good for that defense that they have.
Yeah.
So, like, why are you going to trade? I don't know.
Well, I don't know what their cap situation is now based off the people they let go. I do think they still have to sign Jettas. I don't think he's signed his big contract yet. Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's signed his big contract yet.
Why would you? if you're him, why would you sign a big contract?
Yeah, but
why would you want to stay there?
I don't know.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't even understand what they're going to do. Unless you're going to sign, you pull him in the office and say, okay, man, we suck right now. This is what we're going to do. We're going to trade Kirk Cousins. Who are you going to trade him to?
The Jets.
They got nothing. What are you going to get for him?
That's fair.
The only thing they have is their number one. Why does Arizona want him? They're trying to tank for what's his face?
Caleb Williams.
So, what are you going to get for him?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, you're going to just give him up? Really? He's the best quarterback you've had in a long... I can't believe I'm saying this about Kirk Cousins, but he's not bad, man.
No.
He's damn good.
I love Kirk Cousins, and he's playing... He has gotten better with age. Like, it's crazy how much better he's gotten.
No, you know what? He's always been this good. Yeah. He just played on crap teams.
Oh, that's fair.
I hate to say that because I hated him. But when he was coming out in the draft, I'm like,
Well, he's a Michigan State quarterback.
Could be worse. Yeah. I don't mind Michigan State. I hate him, but I don't mind him.
Yeah.
I'm like, could be worse. But, I mean, we could have got RG3.
Yeah. Well, I think that I have no idea what they do in that organization. I would hate to blow that team up, but their defense is a problem. They have no
already did.
They did. They kind of did because that secondary has no one in it. Patrick Peterson, he's not what he used to be, but they lost that veteran in their secondary, and their secondary is, other than Smith, I don't know if I could name a single one of them.
He's not.
Well, he's older now.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, dude. Well, they got Hunter. So
yeah.
They still have Hunter.
Yep.
But I mean.
But he's on the trade block. Has been since the offseason.
And nobody's biting.
He's going to need to get paid as well. So I don't know. I don't know what they do. But that was my one thought on them. The Chargers played a good game.
Dude, the Chargers suck.
Yeah.
They don't suck. They got a good offense. Herbert can sling it, man.
He can.
I mean, he's got... Well, didn't Williams get hurt in that game?
I think so.
Mike Williams? That's...
Yep. Right? I mean, he's got like 7 receivers that are 6'5". Like that offense is huge. And did Eckler play in that game?
No,
I can't remember.
Eckler's hurt.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So they have a really potent offense. The defense, I feel like, should be good. I don't know what's happened.
The defense has players, man.
They have tons, and Khalil Mack.
It's coaching.
It is.
Their coach sucks.
Yeah, Staley.
I hate to say that because he's from Ohio, and I'm supposed to like him, but he sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Next game. The Pats at the Jets. Patriots won 15-10. Man, that's a horrible game.
Yeah, I got to see a little bit of this game. I don't really have many thoughts of it. I think it was a defensive struggle. 2 good defenses playing against 2 not great offenses. I thought for a second that the Jets were going to make a run at it. Unfortunately, they fell a little short. But I don't have too many thoughts of that game. I think it was just a rivalry game that was tight, and nothing really jumped out.
I was listening to some national guys today, and they were talking about Zach Wilson's got to go. They were talking about the Kirk Cousins to the Jets, and I mean, I don't even know how you'd make that work, but I'd actually like to see that. Actually, I wouldn't, because their line ain't any better than Minnesota's.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, it took Aaron Rodgers all 3 plays to be done for the season. I mean,
right.
If I'm Kirk Cousins, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, but it'd be nice. I mean, if you have to give up throw-in to Justin Jefferson,
go to Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, Garrett Wilson's not a bad consolation.
Yeah, I'd take it.
And then they do have tons of weaponry. Their O-line shouldn't be as bad as they are. But I don't know. That defense is pretty nice, and I think the Jets are going to be this season without Rodgers. They're going to be a hard out for anybody. And I think you saw that this week.
Well, it's probably a good thing that they have still have their first round pick because they'll be able to take Caleb Williams.
The Jets?
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. Well, yeah.
Maybe if they're smart, that's what they do.
Or say you get the second pick and you take Marvin Harrison, put him right beside Garrett Wilson. That'd be pretty sick.
Who's throwing him the ball?
Aaron next season.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And what's he going to be?
Yeah.
41 years old and coming off an ACL?
Right. Or an Achilles.
I'd just leave Zach Wilson out there. Keep losing. Okay, next game. Houston at Jacksonville. This was a surprise to me. Houston won 37-17.
Yes, this was, other than one more game, this was the biggest surprise for me this week. Houston's defense played pretty much out of its mind. They got both defense and special teams played really, really well for them. And I don't know what happened with Jacksonville's offense there. I like Houston's defense. Obviously, their coach is an incredibly defensive-minded coach. And I guess I just didn't give their defense enough credit. I think this is the biggest test that Houston's had, and they really pulled through. So okay, my one big thought is Stroud looks like the real deal. He's still young. He's got a lot to prove, but I mean, that is a big, big plus if you're a Houston fan, getting to see Stroud play the way he did this weekend.
Yep, that was my thought. All right, next game, Buffalo at Washington, and it was a bloodbath, 37-3.
Yeah, not much there. I would say Buffalo just outclassed them. Washington, if you just want to do the quarterback comparison, Sam Howell versus Josh Allen, they're just completely different stratospheres. I like Washington's defense. I think they're really good. I did not expect Buffalo. I expected Buffalo to win and to win relatively handily, but I didn't think that they would put up that many points. I think their defense was just on the field too long.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
Yeah, me too. Next up, Indy at Baltimore.
So
Indy beat them 22-19.
Yeah.
Love it.
Watched, like I was saying earlier, I watched a good little bit of that game, especially the overtime. Both teams possessed the ball several times in the overtime, and it seemed like everybody was hanging around the 50, just not really pushing it past. And
why is that? Oh, Lamar sucks.
But yeah, they won. It felt like they won the game more, came out and took it from them. Indy did, and if you're Indy sitting at 2-1, with Gardner Minshew leading the helm now, you should feel pretty good. I think Jacksonville's 1-2 now. I mean, that division seems to be pretty wide open. I think Jacksonville will get their stuff together, but if I'm Indy, my one thought is, I mean, we're not even playing with all of our weapons. JT's coming back. Anthony Richardson's coming back. Maybe we can make a run in this division. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think Indy's the best team in that division, with Gardner playing quarterback. Okay. Next game, Atlanta at Detroit. Detroit 20-6.
Yeah, Detroit. I like Detroit.
I do too.
I'm a Bears fan, so I naturally don't really like the NFC North teams other than them. But Detroit with MCDC is so fun. I think Dan Campbell is the perfect coach for the team that they've built. They're gritty and fun to watch. I just love watching them play.
They got attitude.
They do. I feel like him and Schwartz would be the best of friends. But not much to say about that game. I think Detroit just had a really good game. I think this is something that you could see from them quite a bit.
Is Desmond Ridder any good?
I don't want to say that he's...
Because I feel like he's not.
I think he's a backup. I think they're playing with a backup quarterback right now.
Okay.
And
that's kind of where I was thinking.
He's young, but coming out when he was playing in Cincinnati, he didn't ever really show me anything that was like, he's going to be a great NFL quarterback, So I think they're looking for a quarterback there.
All right, next game, New Orleans at Green Bay. Green Bay won in a barn burner, 18-17.
Right. Yeah. I looked at the NFL power rankings, and they have Green Bay in the top 10. They're number 10.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
what power ranking was that?
NFL.com.
So they don't know what the hell they're looking at either?
I don't know. Green Bay did impress against Chicago.
Is Green Bay higher than Detroit in their power rankings?
I don't know. I think so.
Well, that can't be.
Because I don't think Detroit's
Have they watched Green Bay play football?
Well, I don't know. What I was saying is I thought, oh, wow, maybe Jordan Love's, amazing once they beat Chicago. But I think it just shows that Chicago is really, really bad this year. Detroit is ahead of them. Detroit's number 7, whereas they're 10. So
where do they got the Browns?
They got us at 9. They've got the Lions ahead of us and Baltimore.
Well, they should have the Lions ahead of us.
I don't know. I think if we played them, we'd beat them. But that game, I don't have much to say. I think that was a tight game. I think Derek Carr got injured in that game. It was just a tight one. If I was New Orleans defense, I'd be like, what's going on? We're holding these guys to below 20 points, and you can't put up 20 points. And that's happened several games now. So if it was me and I had my one thought, I'd be like, I would question what's going on with New Orleans offense.
Is Carolina or is New Orleans or is Derek Carr washed?
I don't know.
Is that a good question to ask?
I'd like to think that he's feeling out this offense, but remember too, he doesn't have Kamara there yet. He comes back this week, so maybe that could be an influx of energy into the offense. But they have decent weapons there. I mean, they've got Olave, and he's been having a decent season. So hopefully Derek Carr's injury isn't too bad, and they can get that figured out. But not too much to say about that game.
Okay, Miami at Denver at Miami.
This game,
we all know what this score was.
Yeah,
I've never seen a score that high.
It is the second highest ever, and they could have broken the record and decided not to.
It's the second highest ever.
Mm-hmm. If they had kicked that field goal at the end of the game,
what
they
was
would
the
have.
Highest?
I think 72.
When?
Back in the 50s. It was
okay.
Washington.
Okay, so back before they threw the ball?
Yeah, when they ran the ball for 400 yards.
Right.
That game, I have a lot to say, but I'll make it quick. Tua, so far, is probably the front runner for MVP. They have just so many weapons. It feels like that offense is a cavalry and just runs over you. It seems like they have no fear. And Daniels is basically doing anything he wants and it works. And their defense, I know they gave up 20 points, but that defense felt like it was completely in control the entire time. Their D-line is very, very good.
I think at half it was like 30-3.
Yeah, it was.
So, like,
they pushed second string in.
Who gives a shit in the second half? I mean, come on.
They were up 70 to whatever the Broncos had with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like, they took a step back.
Well, that was nice of them.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could have put up 84 points, to be honest. But
I know I quit watching the game at half.
Yeah, it was a bloodbath.
Like, I didn't think it would be that bad, but, like, I'm like, it looked like varsity versus 8th graders.
Yeah, and I guess the big question I have in that is Denver one of the worst teams in the league? Or are they going to be tanking for Caleb Williams?
How can they?
Well, do they even have a pick? I don't know that they do.
No.
Yeah, so I think that Denver is in a bad way. They've kind of trapped themselves, especially cap-wise. And they've done everything to try to make it work. They brought in Sean Payton.
I giggled a lot when they made that trade because I didn't see it. Like, I was scared to death that Cleveland was going to do that, and I was praying and screaming and begging, and it was like, God, don't do this. And Denver went and did it. And they're screwed, dude.
Well, it couldn't have happened to a better team. Not a fan of Denver, but
no, I hate Denver, but
yeah, no, I get it. And the thing is I've always been much higher on Russ. I've always liked Russ, but he just fell off the face of the earth. He was having almost MVP, like could have been MVP seasons, and then just it was completely gone. I don't know if it's because their O-line can't protect. I don't know if he just can't. He doesn't have the accuracy he once did, but their roster isn't trash.
No, they changed everything they did. They changed everything in Seattle that they did. Used to be Marshawn Lynch, and Russell was he's what Lamar is. Like the Ravens will never win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson as their quarterback because they're doing what Seattle did with Russ. Instead of using him for what he's good at, they tried to turn him, which they did. They turned him into a pocket quarterback. That's not who he was. Never was. Not even at Wisconsin. That's not who he was. That's what they turned him into, and what they got is what he is now.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing in Baltimore with Lamar. And that's going to be their downfall. And I'm going to laugh about it. So, okay, the next game, Carolina and Seattle. Seattle won 37-27. This score kind of surprised me.
It surprised me as well. The Seattle score didn't surprise me as much, more so the Carolina one. They played, I know they lost by 10 points, but it was more competitive than I thought it would be. This is another one. I didn't really catch this game, but Seattle's got a lot of weapons. Geno Smith is starting to figure it out again. He had a great season last year. I think the biggest question in Seattle was, can he repeat that? And so far he has. And the one big thing I did see is they have two really good running backs. Charbonnet looks impressive. He dismantled a corner, just destroyed him.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Kenneth Walker's a beast. So they've got all the weapons you could possibly want. I guess it's just a question, is their defense formidable enough to carry them? And, letting 27 points go to Carolina may not be great, but we'll see.
Yep. I got nothing else. Okay, the next game, Chicago at Kansas City.
Quick thought.
Chicago blows.
Yeah, that's it. A good team beat a pretty bad team. And this game got a ton of ratings because Taylor Swift was there cheering on Kelsey.
I don't understand that, but okay.
Yeah, that was all over the news. Our game got a lot of ratings, and their game got a lot of ratings. And I guess a lot of people are making it out to be that it was due to the Swifties watching. But, I'd like to think that it was, two pretty big markets going head-to-head, but I don't know. Not too much to say about that game.
Okay. Next game, Dallas at Arizona. Arizona won 28-16.
This game I do have a lot to say. It seems like the loss of Diggs was pretty big for that defense. I never would have guessed that Arizona would put up 28 points. That score baffles me completely.
Well, like I said earlier to you, if losing a cornerback affects that much on your defense wasn't that good to begin with.
No, you're right. And the other thing is Dallas put up 16 points on Arizona's defense. That defense doesn't have anybody on it anymore.
I mean, the Giants put up 21 on them.
Yeah.
Washington put up 20.
On Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their defense is better than I thought. But the only guy I can really think on that defense is Budda Baker. They lost Isaiah Simmons. JJ obviously is retired. They don't have Chandler Jones anymore. So, I don't know. That just completely baffles me, that score, that game. It honestly just looked like the Cardinals were the better team. And the discrepancy in the talent on the rosters is just mind-boggling for that to happen.
Or maybe it was just Dallas went in there with a big head and got punched in the face.
Yeah, that was a trap game, I guess, maybe.
That happens too.
Yeah, that could be.
But I kind of laughed a little bit because I hate Dallas, and I don't mind Arizona. And they got Dawgs. Maybe Dawgs is better than people think he is.
That would be sick if that's the case.
So the next game's Pittsburgh at Vegas. Pittsburgh won 23-18.
And I'm honestly surprised they didn't win by more. Pittsburgh, I thought that Pittsburgh would kind of blow them out, and they let Vegas hang around. That's kind of all I really think about it. I was hoping that Vegas would somehow find a way to win that game, but
Vegas should have won that game.
they should have. But
Pittsburgh sucks. Their offense sucks. And Vegas sucks worse. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
That's kind of how I felt. That was the late night game, wasn't it?
I think that was the late game, Sunday night game. I watched that in Detroit or in Michigan.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. I actually thought Vegas was going to pull it out.
I did too.
But they didn't. I should have known better. But, I mean, when we picked the games last week, we both had Pittsburgh winning.
Yeah, I know. I think that score being that close surprised me.
Yeah, me too.
I thought the only thing that would mitigate some of the damage is Devontae Adams. Cause
Dude, he had like 25 million targets in that game.
As he should. I mean, there's no one that can cover him on Pittsburgh's defense. It's just that offense doesn't have anybody anymore.
God, I would love to see
Josh
Devontae
Jacobs is nice.
in a Browns uniform.
Devontae is one of those players that could be on any team and make it instantaneously much better.
I would trade every receiver we have for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all you need.
And then I'd pull up people from the practice squad. I think we'd be fine. All right, next game, Philly at Tampa Bay. 25-11, Philly won.
And obviously that's a blowout, but it was even more. That score doesn't feel reflective of how far apart those teams are.
See, that's because I don't think that Philly played that great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Jalen had the flu or something coming into the game. He threw 2 bad picks. Well, one of them was a great play.
It was a great play.
There was a fumble, I think. I mean, Tampa Bay just couldn't block anybody.
Yeah, I mean that's a tall order.
It took Mike Evans almost 3 full quarters to get going.
Right.
And he was targeted. He didn't. I know everyone sits and talks about Baker. Sucks, and he sucks, and he's not great. But he was making good throws, and people were dropping the ball.
There was that, and then there's also the fact that he was just constantly under pressure.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And that's another defensive line that it's so hard. It's such a tall order to try to block that. Like if we played the Eagles, I honestly feel like that game could be like a 9-6 game.
Yeah.
Like that defense is for real. I would just say, I guess my one thought is Tampa Bay could end up easily winning that division and being in the playoffs, but I think it's a one and done for them.
Oh yeah,
I think
definitely.
It's just.
Well, I think that depends on the matchup.
Yeah.
If they're playing a wild card, say like Rams
Seattle
team,
or something maybe.
LA Rams or something like that, they could beat them.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? They might all be injured by then.
Right.
All right, last game from last week, the Rams at Cincinnati. Cincinnati squeaked it out, 19-16.
Yep, this was a prior Super Bowl matchup. Really
it's not that. I can say that.
Yeah. I guess my one thought is has Cincinnati just fallen off the board, or is it due to Burrow not being completely back yet? Is he still injured?
Well, I watched a lot of this game, and I'll say it like this. I watched what I could because I don't understand why I was watching Philly-Tampa Bay. In this market, when Cincinnati is in our division, I give a rat's ass about Philly and Tampa Bay. I wanted to watch the Bengals.
Right.
But I didn't have a choice to watch the Bengals because that was on ESPN, and I don't get ESPN. I got to watch Philly at Tampa Bay.
I don't know.
But what I did see, the offenses just look like ass. neither offense could do anything, and then Burrow got it in his head. I'm going to force feed Chase, and once he started doing that, they started moving the ball.
Right.
I mean, once he started doing that, Mixon got some holes opened up, and they didn't really do anything. Either offense, they both sucked. That should have ended in a tie.
Yeah.
That way they could all both just say, "Yeah, we suck."
Right. Well, I'm just waiting for Cincinnati to get back to form because they haven't shown it at all this season yet.
It might not happen, man. It really might not. I mean, Burrow was limping around a little bit.
Well, he was questionable for that game, I believe. So, all right, that was our thoughts on this week's game. Coming up here, we're going to go into the games coming up this week, and we'll go quickly through those.
Yeah, we're going to go through this quick because I'm ready for bed.
Alrighty, we'll be right back. You're listening to Chillen with the Dawgs. You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes go live Friday mornings. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch more podcasting apps in the future. Thanks for listening to us. We highly, highly appreciate it. You can follow me on socials. It's Justice Garber, pretty much anywhere you look. And then you can follow and rate the podcast on the podcasting apps. All right, let's get back into the action. All right, welcome back to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. We're going to go through some of these games this week coming up. We're going to do it real quick because I like to drone on. We're going to go through them quick. So, what's our first one?
Well, we're going to go through these quick because I got something I want to touch on after we do the games.
Okay.
So, first game, Lions and the Packers. Lions at the Packers. Lions are favored by 1.5.
All right. I think the Lions win this game relatively handily. I know the Packers are high right now, but I don't think they've played anybody. So, I think the Lions win this game 28-17.
28-17. I disagree with most of what you said. The Packers played a good New Orleans defense and won. The Packers...
By one.
Huh?
By one.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They won.
Yeah.
We sat here and said over and over again, a win's win.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that the Lions do win, and it's probably going to be 28-17.
Okay, so you disagree
exactly
with me.
what you said. But that's because okay, whatever. So, anyways, yeah, I think the Packers are good. I just think their defense isn't that good. And
I think that says more about the Lions than does the Packers, because I agree. I don't think the Packers are bad, which sucks because I don't like the Packers. But I just think that the Lions are really good, you know? I think that says more about them.
Okay, next game. Falcons at Jags.
Okay, I see the Jags bouncing.
Oh, Jags are favored by 3.
I see the Jags bouncing back here. We talked about it a little bit this week. I just think Desmond Ritter's not that good. So I think the Jags win 31. I think the Falcons still have a run game, so 31-20.
Who just beat the Jags?
Texans.
Texans? Okay. I'm going to say Falcons win 23-20.
Ooh.
Because something's going on in Jacksonville, and I don't know what it is. And they're favored by 3 after that performance they just had. Something's going on. So that's why I'm going that way. We already talked about the Browns and Baltimore. Okay, next game's Miami at Buffalo. And Buffalo, for some reason, is favored by 3.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I think this might be one of the games I'm most excited for this week. I see Miami ending up winning this one. I think it's going to be an offensive blow-up for both teams. So I'm going to say they win 35-32.
30.
Well, no, I don't. 31, because I think Miami still covers.
Okay, I got you. I'm going to say Buffalo's defense is head and shoulders above the Chargers. I would put their offense equal, roughly. And the Chargers lost, I think, when they played Miami by 2.
36-34.
Okay. So, yeah, I could see that. Because I don't know how Miami's going to lose until they play us in the AFC Championship.
Right.
So, I'll say, I'm going to say 42-28.
Ooh. I like that.
Buffalo does not cover. All right. Oh, wait. Miami. You had Miami covered. Okay.
Yep.
So, next game's Denver at Chicago. Denver's favored by 3.5.
So I think this is a game that you have two bad teams playing against each other. I personally, and this might be the Bears fan in me, I think Chicago is honestly better than Denver, how they've been playing. I think Denver has more talent, but I think I like Justin Fields better than Russell Wilson right now. So I think uh, Chicago wins a close one, 21-20.
Okay, and I'm going to go the exact opposite because I like Justin Fields. Chicago's offensive line blows. Their defense, I don't know what's going on with them. And Sean Payton's going to be pissed off. And Russell Wilson might not play in this game. I don't know because Payton might have killed him by now. But it ain't Russell Wilson's fault the defense gave up 70. So I'm going to have Denver winning 21-17.
I could easily see that too.
Okay, next game, Cincinnati at Tennessee, and Cincinnati's favored by 2.5.
I think this is going to be a highly competitive game. I think Tennessee is going to be relieved they don't have to play us this week. Cincinnati's defense isn't terrible, but I don't think it's as good as ours. It's suffocating. So I think this is a close one. Cincinnati just beats them, though. They win 24-20.
And I'm going to say Tennessee is going to win 22-18. I don't know why.
It's because 22 is Derrick Henry's number.
I just don't think. I don't think Cincinnati's right now.
That's fair.
So next game is the Rams at Indy, and Indy is favored by 1.
Yeah. Does that spread surprise you?
A little bit.
I think that Indy does end up winning. I think this is a close game because I think they're both pretty even right now. So I see Indy winning. I think they put up some points, 24-21.
Okay. I'll say who's playing quarterback? Is Gardner playing quarterback or Richardson?
I honestly don't think it matters too much for me personally.
I think it matters to me.
But
a rookie.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald coming at you. I'm going to say if Gardner plays, I'd have Indy winning 26 to 14.
I can see that.
And I don't know why. I've got some odd scores this week.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Tampa Bay at New Orleans, and New Orleans is favored by 3.5.
That surprises me a lot. I guess Derek Carr's injury isn't that bad, if that's the case. But I like Tampa Bay to win here, outright. So I'm going to say Tampa Bay wins 27-23. And I think that would be the most points New Orleans scored this year, right?
No, they scored. I looked this up earlier. They had, hang on. It was their second game. Week 2. New Orleans. Where they at? They scored 28.
Oh, okay.
Against Carolina.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to say Tampa Bay scores 24, and New Orleans scores 20. I don't think New Orleans is going to win. I think Tampa's going to play good enough defense, and Baker will play good and beat them. Next game, Washington at Philly. Philly favored by 8.5.
Yeah, based off of what happened last week with Washington, it didn't go the way I thought it would, and I think that Philly's better than Buffalo. So I see Philly putting up 38 points, Washington 10. I think Philly just outclasses them, similar to what Buffalo did.
I'd say the same thing, 38-10. although it's a division game.
It is, and that's to say, I like Washington. I just think they're at two different stages right now organizationally.
Okay, next game, Minnesota at Carolina. Minnesota favored by 3.5.
This game, I don't know really, because I feel like both of these teams are a little underwhelming so far in the season. I do think Minnesota's, heads and tails more talented on offense, and I think that Carolina has some good defensive players, but I think Minnesota kind of wins this one relatively easily. I think they win 28-17.
I think it's going to be 38 to 16.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Next game, Pittsburgh at Houston. Pittsburgh's only favored by 3.
I think that's a fair spread too, because Houston has been surprising, and that's exciting for me because I'm a big Stroud fan. I love D'Amico Ryans, and I'm excited to see how Will Anderson develops. I think Houston, I'm not going to predict it, but I think Houston could win this game.
Man, I hope they do.
It would be amazing. But I think Pittsburgh wins this in a very, very gritty game. They win 21-17. And they cover. But I think it's a close game.
I think it's going to be. I think they'll get a defensive touchdown. I think they're going to win 28-13. Pittsburgh. I hope that is reversed, but
Pittsburgh should win this
using
game.
my head, I can't actually predict Houston winning.
If what everybody says about Pittsburgh is true, Pittsburgh should win this game relatively easily, but I don't think they will.
Okay. Next game, Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers favored by 5.5.
This game, I think the Chargers blow them out. I think they easily cover. I think it's a slaughter. 35-10.
I'll go with that too. I'm going to say 38-10. Just because I want it to be worse. Okay, next game, Pats at Dallas. Dallas favored by 7.
Yeah, this game's intriguing too, based solely off the fact that I don't know what Dallas was about last week. I think that they rebound here because I just don't believe in the Pats at all. I think Dallas wins relatively handily, 31, and that's a lot of points for how good their defense is, but Dallas wins 31-17.
I think it's going to be 24-14. No, 13. 24-13 Dallas.
I could see that too.
I don't think New England can score enough points.
The only worry I have in that prediction is Dallas going to score 31 points. I don't know what's up with their offense.
Yeah, I don't think Dallas will score 31 points. That's why I went with 24.
I mean, they put up 40 already this season, but last week that boggles my mind.
The Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants suck. All right, next game is the Arizona at the Niners. Niners favored by 14.
Yeah, that's one of probably the biggest spreads I've ever seen in NFL. But I honestly think they cover it. Arizona played a great game last week. I don't think that it's going to translate to this week. I think the 49ers are a much better organization, better coaching, and I think the 49ers blow them out. 42-10.
Okay, I'm going to say something's going on in Arizona.
It's the Dawgs factor, man.
Maybe, but I can't see them winning. But they could cover. 14 points is a big spread.
It is a very big spread.
I mean, they could cover that. So
and they might let off.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm going to say 30 for the Niners to 20.
I could see that as well, especially if they get out early.
Time touchdown or something like that. All right, next game's Kansas City at the Jets. Kansas City favored by 9.5.
I think that goes just as it's predicted. KC wins relatively handily. The Jets' defense is still good, so I think they cover the spread, but they don't score a ton. I'm going to say they end up 24-10.
So Kansas City covers?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that looks pretty good, but I'm going to go 28 to... See, that'd be 28 to 12. 3 field goals. 4 field goals for the Jets. Okay, next game, Seattle at the New York Giants. Giants minus 1.5.
And this is the last game.
Yep.
Giants are favored
Yep.
against Seattle.
Yep.
Don't understand that. I think Seattle wins this.
It's a long trip.
It is a long trip. That might have a factor, but
it is a Monday night game.
Right. So I would say, yeah, and the other thing, too, is if it's 8 o'clock there, then they'd be playing at, 5 o'clock their time. Right. So I don't think that matters as much. I think Seattle wins this relatively handily, just because the Giants. I don't know if Saquon's going to be back.
I don't know. Not heard anything about it.
They had said 3 weeks, and then obviously they had said, he might come out Thursday night. So we don't really know the status of him. I don't think it matters. Seattle wins relatively handily, 31-14.
I'm gonna say 24-14. I don't think they can score that many points. Although, who knows? It's the Giants.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yep, that's our games for the week. You said you wanted to say something?
I forget now what it is.
Okay.
It was something with the Browns.
Well, while you remember, I'll say this. Going forward, we're going to switch up the format a little bit different as far as these segments go. I am curious to see what you guys think about it, if you like these better or what we're going to try going forward. But we're going to try and make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more fluid. Instead of doing, segments like we're a radio show, I think it'll be a little bit more fun if we just make it a conversation. And one thing that we've kind of brainstormed is, instead of going through the week prior and telling you guys about the games, especially because it comes out on a Friday, you guys should probably already know plenty about what happened that week. So we're going to just touch on maybe 5 or 6 of the games that really stood out to us, talk about our division, and then find a couple that we had some impressions on. Like this week it would have been Miami. So we're going to switch it up a little bit, make it fresh for you guys going forward. But let us know what you guys think. You can comment on YouTube. This comes out every Friday on YouTube and Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. So all those have ways you guys can contact us. Let us know what you think. Any cool ideas or comments you guys have definitely help me trying to put this together. And let us know where we stand if you're interested, all that good stuff. Anything to add?
Nope, I can't remember. That's what happens when you get old, man. I should have wrote it down.
Yeah, the Browns had a big victory this week. Let's hope that they can continue that this coming week. But that's been Chilling with the Dawgs. Thanks for stopping in and listening to us rant for a little bit. We'll catch you next week.
You gonna run your socials?
Oh, yeah, my socials. You can follow me on every social media platform. Just search Justice Garber. You'll find me. I'm probably the only one in the world, so pretty easy to find. I'm trying to post these on my personal socials right now, just because it's easier. And then make sure to follow, subscribe, whatever you got to do for whichever social to get these episodes. They come out every Friday. I'm also posting my radio show on there, and we'll be posting more projects on Spotify and mostly YouTube. So check us out, follow, comment, let us know what's up. But we do appreciate you checking us out.
And we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes drop Friday mornings. You can catch them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and a lot more podcasting apps to come. You can also find it on my YouTube page at Justice Garber on YouTube. And if you'd like to support the channel, you could always watch some more videos. I make all different kinds of content. And then you can also like, comment, subscribe, follow my social medias at Justice Garber. But we really appreciate you guys checking it out, and we can't wait to get more for you next week.